Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Mind Your Puck in Business with your host, Jeffrey Kruntzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, coming to you as always from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project and by Allied Construction and Roofing. We encourage you to check out both of those two businesses, and we appreciate their support as always. Absolutely. This is episode number 76, 76 on the Spanish dial. For those using the SAP feature today, we welcome you. You can send your questions at any time, as always, to mypbshow@gmail.com, or, as we've said in recent weeks, and it's been the more popular way that questions have come in, you can also DM us on our Instagram page. And if you're following on the YouTube link, I do see that we have new graphics today, new colors for the MYPB email. Very nice. Nice to see a little freshen up around here. You can listen to the show many different ways, whatever your heart desires, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or Facebook. So we welcome you, and we appreciate the listenership. How are you, sir?
Been better.
I
made sure we didn't talk about much before the show.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a lot to talk about during the show.
So let's do this. Before I get into it, I want to just clarify when we're taping this episode, because if you go on later in the week and you're following, you're going to be like, well,
it would be a lot better.
Right, hopefully. So we're taping this episode today on Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. So for those without a calendar in front of you, if you're following the NHL playoffs, in particular the Rangers and Penguins series, which we will illustrate in depth here for a little bit, Game 4 was last night. So we are now at a point in the series where the Penguins lead the Rangers 3-1. And being that it is a best-of-7 series, the Rangers have their backs against the wall. And to survive this series, we'll now have to win 3 straight. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's go to kind of how we got here and my thoughts on how we've gotten here. And then we'll kind of do like the general overhaul.
Sure.
And I'm going to try very hard to not get too animated or too annoyed.
I'm not going to get animated.
I know you do, but it's a family show. So I'm going to promise to do my best. So let's start with Game 1, which last Tuesday, if you're a fan of hockey and you're not a fan of the Rangers or Penguins and you have a triple overtime game, it's awesome. That's what playoff hockey is about, right? Next goal wins kind of scenario and all that. The Rangers in the first period of Game 1 played, without a doubt, their best period of hockey all season. They were dominant. Shots on goal, limiting chances. Ryan Reeves was everywhere. I mean, you could not have asked for a better first period in Game 1 to start your Stanley Cup playoffs. I made this stupid mistake, and I will admit that I did this because I thought this to myself. I may have said it to someone, but I don't think I did. But I thought this to myself, so I'm going to get on me here. At the first intermission, I said to myself, if the Rangers played like this, the entire Stanley Cup playoffs, like they just played in the first period, they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And they would, because they were that good.
Yeah.
It was dominance.
Yes.
And the one thing that came back to haunt them in that first period was Casey DeSmith had some really good saves to keep it a 1-0 game, which now goals in that game became at a premium and were important. So the first period was great. The second period, as good as it was awful. I mean, awful. They couldn't get the puck out of their own. They completely stopped forechecking. Everything that they did right during the first period, they did wrong during the second period. It leads us to the third period late. It's a 3-3 game. Kakko comes in with the puck to the net. He's pushed inside. He's pushed in the goalie. Filipino taps in the rebound into an empty net. The ruling on the ice is a goal by the referee, Chris Lee. Now, like any sport, hockey's like football. If a referee is going to review it, there has to be definitive evidence against what the call on the ice was.
Yes.
Now, Chris Lee rules that Kakko made contact with the goalie, which he did, but he wasn't pushed, according to him, and the goal doesn't count. Now, look, this is the wrong call, but I'm not going to sit here and come on today and say, well, the ref screwed the Rangers. And I'm not going to do that because the Rangers had so many other chances in this game that they should have won. Then you get to overtime, right? And we joked on
before you move on. not only was he pushed, the goalie came out and made the contact. But
that is true also. Yeah. I mean, look, it was a goal, right? But again, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna just gonna rip the NHL and officiating. So then we get to overtime, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And there is a play. I'm gonna use this play as the example where the Rangers just are reluctant to shoot and making too many passes. Adam Fox comes in on a point blank, wrist shot he could have had. And all he got to do is hit the corner and the game's over, and passes it to Ryan Strome on the side of the net, who's not even expecting the pass. So instead of shooting the puck to win the game, we're trying to make the extra pass. Now, the other thing here, which is amazing, Casey DeSmith stands on his head for, the first 5 periods of the game, then goes out with this, phantom injury that no one knew what it was about. They thought at the time it was cramping, which made sense because the guy had been playing hockey for 6 hours. Turns out he had a serious injury. He's out for the season, so we wish him well. The goalie comes in named Louis Domingue. Louis Domingue, the only reason I know who he is, because most people were like, we don't even know who this guy is because earlier in the season, he was on the Devils, and he sucked. He was awful. So this guy, now let me explain this to you. Yeah. At intermission of like the second to the third overtime, he doesn't think he's coming in, right? Unless the goalie gets hurt. What does he do? He has spicy pork and fried rice just as like a chill out snack. Comes into the game, makes 17 saves, completely unwarmed up.
So during the intermission.
Yeah. This is the new thing. Like if you look online, spicy pork, it's trending because of him. So the Rangers now lose in overtime, third overtime. Igor Shesterkin in his first career playoff game. And for people that say, well, Igor Shesterkin, you don't know what a guy's going to be like in the playoffs. And that has changed in the last 2 nights. But we'll stick with game 1, has 79 saves in game 1. And loses. Your goalie had 79 saves and you lost.
Yeah. To a backup goalie. All you had to do was shoot.
Not even a backup goalie, Doug. They played the backup goalie for 5 periods. Then they played the third string guy. Louis Domingue's not even the backup. He's the backup to the backup.
Wait, time out. So what happened to the backup?
So their goalie, Tristan Jarry, has been out all series. They started their backup, Casey DeSmith. He's the one who played and then left the game. So the backup to the backup came in.
So the backup was the one who got injured in game 1.
Yeah.
So wait, timeout. Slow down. Their regular goalie, their starting goalie, hasn't played the whole series. He's out for the season.
Correct. He's out. Well, he's been out for the series. Okay. Maybe back at some point.
Okay. The backup goalie, he went out. Is he out for the season?
He's out for the season too.
Okay. So you're telling me
I'm telling
you, we can't score a goal on the backup to the backup. We're trying to make extra passes and be fancy.
Who just had spicy pork.
Just had spicy pork.
Okay. So they lose game 1, right? Now, you lose game 1 in awful fashion at like 11:49 at night. I think they scored the final goal. And now you're like, if you're a Ranger fan, you stay up for this. You're frustrated. You can't go to bed. It's not like you can just turn off the TV at 11:51 and go to bed.
And a garbage lazy goal. Because there's going to be a theme to this. A garbage lazy goal. I saw from a mile away. I was like, what are you doing? Like they were just like, oh, I'm going to maybe try to clear it. It wasn't even like they were trying to get it out of their zone.
So I'm glad you say that because the Rangers, and this is one thing we're going to get to in a minute, they have had trouble this entire series getting the puck out of the defensive end, which is typical Ranger hockey. Game 2 comes on Thursday.
Yes.
I don't want to say that game 2 was a must win for them because they could have gone down 2-0 in 1996. I remember being at a game, they went down 2-0 to Montreal at home and then won 4 straight. So I didn't really look at it as a must win, but look, I mean, you really do need to win the game.
Yeah.
And they did. They played well. I was annoyed though so it was 3-1 late in the second period, and I was watching the game, and I said to my wife, who was watching it with me, I said, they need to get out of this period with a 2-goal lead. Don't go into the third with a 1-goal game. And what happened? Sidney Crosby then goes through like 3 people and scores. So that happens. Are my headphones fine over there? I'm having.
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah, I cannot, but we can maybe turn the volume up a little bit on that guy. Give me 1 second. It could have been me here that knocked it off.
How about now?
Now it's better. Yep, there we go. We're back. So Sidney Crosby scores the goal, makes it interesting, but the Rangers hold on and win. So now you're going to Pittsburgh for game 3 on Saturday. My mindset was just get a split. If you lose game 3, win game 4. If you win game 3 and you lose game 4, take this home. Game 3 is what had to have been one of the most excruciating Ranger games that I've watched. In the first period, the Rangers are down 4-1, and Igor Shesterkin, as deservedly so as we say how unbelievable he's been all season, he was basically a beer league goalie. the goals that he let in. He didn't get to the post on the first goal with his skate, which is like elementary stuff for these guys. The goal by Evan Rodriguez. Evan Rodriguez missed the net, and it came back in front, and no one could get the puck, and Evan Rodriguez fields his own rebound. I mean, it just was a complete nightmare. The Rangers go down 4-1. Let's give them credit in the sense that they came back and tied it at 4.
Yes.
I thought in the third period, when the game was 4-4, they had their chances. They actually had a couple power plays, and there was one in particular with Mika Zibanejad. He had a shot where, again, Louis Domingue, who is now going to be the next coming of Moses, which is typical, robbed Mika Zibanejad. So I can't get on him for that. And then the goal that they let in, again, a terrible play by Patrick Nemeth, which we're going to get into in a minute, where I may lose my mind when we talk about this player in a couple minutes. But just a really annoying loss. You fought back. I'd rather, and maybe this was the kiss of death, I would rather my team lose a playoff game 7-2 like they did last night than 5-4 the other day. Just don't give me hope.
It was the same play. It was the same play where they have the puck. There's 2 defenders there. There's 1 offensive guy, and just move the puck and get it out of your zone. And it was just like a lazy,
yes.
Oh, you have the puck. Oh, you scored.
100.
What are you doing?
100%. You're absolutely right. So, game 4 last night.
Yeah.
Now, if you win last night and you get the series 2-2 coming home, you have a best of 3 really with home ice. You're fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm at a loss. There were so many things last night that went wrong that I'm not going to bore the people that listen to this show anymore and go through them all, because we'll be here until next Friday. So they now find themselves down 3-1, and they need to win 3 games, and it starts tomorrow night, Wednesday night at home versus the Garden. Now, someone wrote today, and I'm going to answer the question, because this would be where I would answer it. Well, what would your prediction be on the series going forward? Well, before I do that, let's talk about certain things, and I'll answer that. Patrick Nemeth is a joke. The Rangers signed him in the offseason as a kind of 6th defenseman.
Yeah.
They didn't bring him in here to be Brian Leetch, but they signed him for one reason. He's from the same country as Niels Lundqvist, an up-and-coming Ranger defenseman. And the thought process was that Patrick Nemeth could mentor him and show him how to play. And so they signed him from Colorado. This guy sucks. I mean, I can think of, Rangers in the past, 15 years that have been bad. Wade Redden comes to mind, like another left-handed defenseman when he came over from Ottawa. I could think of guys that they signed, Bobby Holig, even though he wasn't a goal scorer, but people that you think are going to be good, and they turn out to just flat out suck. Patrick Nemeth is god awful. He takes a penalty every game where the Penguins subsequently score on. I mean, you can just place that bet. Parlay. Will Patrick Nemeth take a penalty? Yes. Will the Penguins score on the subsequent power play? Yes. Pay yourself out on that. He sucks. The 5th goal the other night, the winning goal by Pittsburgh, he can't get the puck out of his zone. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, here's my other thing with this, right? Patrick Nemeth is that bad. You're going to tell me Zach Jones, who's this young kid, up-and-coming defenseman, who's not going to be the next, Paul Coffey. I know that. I'm not making, I'm not going to be delusional here. But Zach Jones is worse than this, that we'd rather have Patrick Nemeth? What does this say for the organization that we're going to keep trotting out Patrick Nemeth here and not give Zach Jones a chance? Well, obviously, the organization does not think highly of Zach Jones, because this guy sucks. I mean, he is awful. So I can't watch him on the ice. I would rather them tomorrow night. Now, maybe Ryan Lindgren is back and they can just scratch Patrick Nemeth and make us all happy. But if you're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
Go down with players that are adequate, that know how to play the game, that aren't just taking stupid penalties and can get puck out of their goddamn end. This guy's absolutely awful. It's awful. It's maddening to watch. And it's happening over and over and over. It's the same thing. And nobody's doing anything. Get him out of the lineup. Get Zach Jones in. Get someone from my beer league hockey team in that we sucked at, please. Just get him out of the lineup. I can't deal with this anymore.
So you're telling me that the same way that they scored in game 3 to win the game is the same? They couldn't get out of the zone. It was both times him?
Yes. It was Patrick Nemeth. The game was tied at 4 the other night, and Patrick Nemeth played the puck into the corner. He couldn't get the rebound in front of the net. This is happening over and over and over.
Oh, my God.
And it's again last night, penalty, Penguins scoring the power play. Why in the world are we trotting this guy back on the ice? Bench him. If you don't want to put Zach Jones, if you don't want to do something, do something, please. Maybe. And now this has been hurtful. Barclay Goodrow was brought here from Tampa for postseason experience. He got hurt in game 1. He's been out, and he's not coming back this series. Ryan Lindgren, who would be super valuable in this series, he's a defenseman, and maybe if he played, Nemeth would then be the odd man out. Would be very helpful in this series because it's been a gritty kind of, in your zone forechecking kind of series, has been hurt. He may be back in game 5, I guess. So there have been some injury losses here. But my goodness, can we get Patrick Nemeth off the ice? What the hell is going on? I'm sorry. What is going on? Like, it's just maddening to watch. Ryan Strome, and we talked about this, and we've said this for a while. He's a free agent coming up in the offseason. What are the Rangers going to do? And I've said for months that I was really big on them re-signing him. And as time has gone on, and a lot of people have also echoed this same sentiment, as time has gone on through the season, they've said, you know what? Ryan Strome may be the sort of player that we can part with. We don't need to re-sign him. Ryan Strome can get out of here as quickly as he wants in the offseason. If I see this guy miss another net by 5 feet shooting wide, when there's not even a defenseman in front of him like he did in game 3, I don't he can take his money that he's going to get in another city and leave because he sucks too. And I don't know where the top line has been. Mika Zibanejad, non-existent. Chris Kreider, who again has had the world's greatest season. I said all year long that my concern with Chris Kreider always has been in his career that he's been inconsistent. This is a wonderful time to now not show up, Chris Kreider, in the first round of the playoffs and show that you can be inconsistent. So I'm going to answer the question. Going forward, what do I think about this series? I'm gonna go with my head here and not my heart. You ready, Dougie?
Yes, I'm ready.
I think they will win tomorrow night. I don't think they're going to go out in 5 games. They're home. I think they'll win tomorrow night. And if they don't, well, then you know what? There's nothing to even talk about. But if they win tomorrow night, they go back to Pittsburgh on Friday. And I'd say maybe there's a 40% chance they win that game. And if they can get to a game 7, game 7s are really 50-50. So I would say right now, in my eyes, my wife is the probability teacher. But if I factor all that stuff in, I give the Rangers maybe a 10% chance to win the series. And they're probably not. Now, look, if they go out tomorrow night in game 5, and you lose a series in 5 games, the one thing I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear any Ranger fans say, oh, the officiating sucks. No, if you lose a series, you say that when you lose in 7 games and, the goal in the game 1 cost you. If you lose a series in 5 games, you didn't deserve to be there. Gerard Gallant, I've been high on all year. I really have. He has not had a good series. He has not made adjustments. Again, I don't know what's going on with this Nemeth situation, but if I see this guy tomorrow night, I mean, are we just really like throwing in the white towel and being like, season's over?
I hope not.
So, it's been frustrating to watch. And I know, you could look at this series if you wanted to and say the Rangers should have won game 1, which they really should have. They didn't, right? But you could make an argument they should have. And they could have certainly won game 3 because it was tied late. So, yeah, the Rangers are down 3-1, but it could easily be 2-2 or 3-1 the other way. And now you've got to win 3 games in a row. And Pittsburgh's playoff experience, I have always been someone that has never been high on, I don't really buy into, though. They have more experience in the playoffs. They're doing something with playoff experience that the Rangers aren't, and the Rangers are showing their age being young.
Yeah, we start off strong, we look good, and then we just flop. But so answer me this: out of all the injuries, do we have people coming back next game?
I would think there's a chance Ryan Lindgren is back. To me, if it's not a serious injury, which I don't think it is, because they're saying that he might be back, and you're down 3-1 and your season's on the line, he should be playing. I mean, Barclay Goodrow is not. It sounds like that's more severe. That's a week-to-week thing. And for the Rangers, I don't know if there's going to be much to talk about next week for him to come back to. But for Lindgren, he is probably coming back. Now, I will say this. In 2015, I thought of this morning.
Yeah.
The Rangers were down 3-1 to the Capitals and came home. Won game 5, went on the road and won game 6, and then had a heroic win in overtime with Derek Stepan winning the game against the Capitals. So coming back from a 3-1 deficit with having home ice, the Rangers have done it before. I wouldn't sit here and bet any amount of money it's going to happen, but I don't want you to think it's impossible. But man, if you go out tomorrow night on home ice in 5 games, then you just don't deserve it.
To a third string goalie.
String
shoot more.
Right.
Like the extra passing. They're passing way too much. They're trying to get this perfect shot. Just shoot more. Get some deflections. Keep it in their zone.
This is Ranger Hockey 101. forever is shoot
Yeah.
the puck. Like if you go to a Ranger game, and I know you don't really ever go, when the Rangers are on the power play, like for the last 25 years, you hear fans yell, shoot it, because they're always just like trying to make the extra coup pass. And then so it's been frustrating. It's, you know what, you play tomorrow night. The mindset here has to be you take it one game at a time. You focus on game 5 tomorrow night at the Garden. You get that game, and then we'll sit here and worry about game 6.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
I mean, it's going to have to be.
I mean, yeah, you don't have any other choice.
Yeah.
So
hopefully some of these guys come back from injury, make some adjustments, get this guy off the ice, this defender, Nemeth.
Let me go down. If my season's going to end, which it probably is, can we at least go down without him on the ice?
I mean, two games. 2 games. At the end of the game, he can't clear it. They take it, they score, they win the game.
And penalty, like I don't get it. So you're gonna tell me Zach Jones is worse than this? Then you got to trade Zach Jones. Like you know, like if Chris Drury gets a phone call in the offseason and someone wants Zach Jones, and in your mind you think he's worse than Patrick Nemeth, I don't care if you're getting a bag of Sour Patch Kids back in return. You got to make a trade and get rid of it. Plain and simple.
Oh man.
All right. So before we get to our guest here, because I see he's in the virtual waiting room, we're going to go around the league here real quick. We'll just do the Eastern Conference. Boston, Carolina tied at 2. I said to my son the other day when Carolina was up 2-0, I said, you know what? If the Rangers win the series, they're going to have to play Carolina, and Carolina's really good, which they are, but somehow Boston's tied. So they go to game 5 tonight, 2-2. The Toronto Tampa series, which I told you was I thought the best series in the entire league, is 2-2. That goes to game 5 tonight. And Washington somehow last night, whereas up 2-1, they could have won the game with like a minute left. Florida pulls their goalie. Washington shoots for the empty net, misses, icing, puck comes back down. They score with a minute left to tie and win in overtime. Florida, that series is 2-2.
Wow.
So you have all series in the Eastern Conference tied at 2.
Some series are entertaining.
I tell you, we picked the wrong series sometimes, man. We picked the wrong series. So we'll see what happens. You take it one day at a time. It's not over yet. Again, it's been done before, but it is a very tall task with the way. And I don't know what's going on with Shesterkin. I won't even get into the time as to what's happened here in the last 2 games with him, because if Shesterkin is not all world again, and he's got to get back to all world real quick here in a matter of 24 hours, this series is over tomorrow night. So we shall see. So we welcome in. We're going to try and bring in our guest here. Let's see if we can get him. And we're going to bring in, because it's a good topic. We talk gambling a lot here. We talk NHL a lot. This is Andrew. I'm gonna say, did I pronounce this right? Pieper?
Pieper, yes, that's right.
Pieper, how are you? Now, are you in the cockpit of the plane?
No, sir. My car actually. I'm at work right now, and due to security reasons, I'm not able to be inside of work. So the car has sufficed for this interview. Apologies.
No problem at all. Well, I knew you worked in aviation, so I didn't know if it was a cockpit or the front seat of a car. I guess wrong. All right. So you've been a professional poker player on tour or out in Vegas, and I know you're back in Florida now. And I know you have some insight into NHL line. You had told me that you think live betting, in particular with the NHL, there's ways to make money and things are off. You want to explain a little bit about what you meant?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So for live betting, and this goes across for all sports, not just the NHL, is something that Vegas and sports folks in general just haven't caught up on yet, just because the algorithms that you have to have are just so like infinitely complex almost that they're not going to be able to really add in for all the variables. So live so everything is done via a computer that's basically like tracking what the live line should be, because there's things happen way too fast. There's way too many games for a human to be monitoring that as it goes on. So the live line goes according to how the line is gamed, is lined pregame, and if the game is going as according to how the odds makers thought it would, then it's usually pretty on. But then, as we know, like there's, especially in hockey, like there's a lot of variance. Players get injured, players go out, and there's a lot of times just things aren't accounted for in the line. Particularly in Vegas, there's just like some really good live lines. They're just like way off during in games. A good example of that is one game this season, Vegas was playing Seattle. They're like a -185 favorite, over under was 6. So you could bet Vegas was up 1-0 after the first period. You could bet Vegas money line and under 7.5 goals at even money. And that line is, yeah, and that line is just like complete. It should be like minus 350. Like it's not even close.
So you are, I believe you are a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, right? Am I right about that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you got that right.
Okay, so well, for then I owe you double congratulations on the last 2 Stanley Cups, because as a Ranger fan, I really would just like to get one, and you've had 2 in the last 2 years, so congratulations, no jealousy here. So the Lightning are in a really good series. I think it is the best series in the Eastern Conference, maybe even the NHL, actually, and that is Tampa and Toronto 2-2. Tampa absolutely destroyed Toronto the other night. What is your prediction for the rest of that series?
Yeah, I agree with you that it's one of the best series going on right now. Yeah, really tough opponent in Toronto. It's never easy going up against Austin Matthews and company, especially with all the pressure that they have, and it's just the same story every year that they can't win in the playoffs. So. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to go. I think we're going to go 7, and I think Tampa probably pulls it out because I think we have the edge and goal with Vasilevsky. But yeah, it's been really good, really entertaining series, and credit to the NHL just in general for playoff scheduling. It's been fantastic of just having every other game and not all stacked up on top of each other on one timeline. It's been really good.
Yeah, the NHL really, this is the first year I ever remember them doing the schedule line. They really have every series is every other day. Sometimes other teams have weird off days and it mixes it up. You really get the same 4 series each, one day, and then the next day is the next 4, and then it's back to the other 4. I would agree with you, though. I like, we're getting some feedback. I don't know. Was that, you know what? Yeah, I think it's from you. I like Tampa in that series 7, because I think if it goes to 7, we've seen Toronto lose Game 7 at home. All the pressure in the world is in Toronto. The sticks, you start gripping the sticks a little bit tighter. I would be concerned if I was a Toronto fan. I will say this: if Tampa can win on the road tonight in Toronto, I would really like Tampa, because I think tonight is a must-win for them. Well, thank you for joining us, Andrew. I appreciate it. Come back and see us again soon, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me on, guys. Enjoy the show.
Thanks. You got it. That is Andrew Pieper down in Florida. You can see nice. You can see when you see him with sunshine and the short sleeves, he's not here.
I want to be there.
But, we're still in sweatshirts here.
We're still raining every day.
First
day of sun today.
There you go, but not that warm. All right, so let's go around the league, and we will look at the other NHL series. As we talked about the Eastern Conference, we'll go to the West. So one sweep early on already, and that is the Colorado Avalanche dispatched the Nashville Predators in 4 games. Not a surprise. I believe my pick last week, if I remember, was Colorado in 5, so I gave Nashville a game. I tell you, Colorado and Darryl Sutter, the coach of Calgary, had said this earlier in the season. Whoever was going to get Colorado in the first round was going to be in trouble, and they were. Colorado looks like the real deal. Right now, you'd have to think that the Western Conference favorite as of today is definitely the Colorado Avalanche. Now, another series that's excellent, and that is the Kings and Oilers. Right now, 2-2. LA won Game 1. Edmonton responded, and they absolutely crushed the Kings in Game 2 and 3. And then the Oilers just didn't show up for Game 4. That goes to Game 5 tonight. So you have another series tonight where Game 5 is a series that is 2-2. Also out west tonight, another 2-2 series. You have Minnesota and St. Louis tied at 2. The Blues won Game 1 in Minnesota. The Wild responded, won Games 2 and 3, and the Blues came back and won Game 4. This is probably, and I don't think I'm saying anything here that's revolutionary or crazy, but this is probably a 7-game series. You'd have to think that Minnesota and St. Louis is a 7-game series. Now, with Edmonton, I like Edmonton in that series. I don't know if they'll win it in 6 or 7, but I still think Edmonton is the better team and they have home ice. So I do think Edmonton will emerge there. The other series, which is closer than people thought, including myself, although last night trended back the way you would think, is the Stars and the Flames. The Flames won game 1, 1-0. The Stars won game 2, 2-1. So you really have 2 1-goal games, could go either way. The Stars won game 3 to take a surprising 2-1 lead in the series, but last night in Dallas, the Flames won to even up the series at 2. I still like Colorado in this series, but the way that the Stars are playing defense and limiting, people like Johnny Gaudreau on the Flames, this could be a 7-game series too. And people, including myself, did not even. This series is at least going 6 games, and I'm surprised. I think I picked Calgary in 5. I think Calgary will still win the series, but it's close.
Yeah, just depressed, man.
You're upset. Upset. The guy with I like that the guy with the Devil's keychain is depressed. Now,
hey,
someone
wants to get me a Ranger keychain, I'll switch it up.
You got it.
Or I'll cut it in half and I'll put them 2 together.
It works for me. So around the league, some other stuff. The NHL draft lotto is tonight.
Yeah.
And teams that did not make the playoffs have the chance at winning the lottery like the Rangers did with Alexis Lafreniere a few years ago and getting the first pick of the draft. Now, it seems like the consensus number 1 pick is the center Shane Wright.
Mm-hmm.
People were high on him. People were higher on him going into the draft months ago, but there still seemed like it. That he's going to be the first pick. Montreal has the best odds at 18.5% tonight to get the first pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Coyotes are at 13.5. The Kraken are at 11.5. And then there are 2. The next 2 teams would be awful. The Flyers have 9.5% chance, and the Devils have an 8.5% chance. Just please, not one of those 2 teams. I would rather him go. Matter of fact, if you're a Ranger fan, you want him to go to either Arizona or Seattle, and not even in the division. I'd rather him not go to Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
The Islanders have a 2% chance. So I just do not want to see him go to the Devils or the Flyers.
Besides the first pick, where do the Rangers sit? Where are they sitting? Where are they picking, do you think?
The Rangers will pick they'll be in the 20s because they made the playoffs. They'll pick further out. But look, take away the last week, the Rangers do have an abundance of youth. I'm not really overly concerned. And the offseason, really, with the Rangers, we've talked about this year, there are going to be a lot of decisions that Chris Drury has to make. Ryan Strome, some of these guys that they traded for, do you re-sign? I mean, there really is. Gorgiev comes to mind as well. There are going to be some tough questions. Speaking of the Islanders,
yeah,
surprise yesterday. It's Monday morning.
Yeah,
right. If you're a Ranger fan, you're thinking about Game 4 later that night. Although I hope you didn't think too much of it. So you're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And news comes out of nowhere, like complete shock across the NHL, that the New York Islanders have fired their head coach, Barry Trotz, who is, and I understand this is an opinion. I can't factually prove this, but I mean, everyone has this opinion, so maybe it's factually true. Barry Trotz is the best coach in the NHL. And the Islanders a year ago were a game away from going to the Stanley Cup. This past year, they opened a new arena. And because of that, their arena wasn't ready. They started with like a 14 or 16 game road trip. Then their team got decimated by COVID, probably worse than any team in the entire league. So the guy had, everything working, swimming upstream the entire way. And the Islanders turn around and fire him yesterday, which makes no sense. Yeah. Now, Barry Trotz, if I'm Barry Trotz and you want to work again, and I'm assuming he does, that guy will have a job next year. He could take any of the openings right now that are there at this moment in time, like Detroit, Chicago, Winnipeg, where he's from, Manitoba. And if he made a call and said, you know what, general manager, I'm interested in this job, he's probably hired by 5:00 today. But I have a thought. I have not seen this anywhere. This is my own thought. I haven't seen it anywhere, but I have my weird prediction for this.
He's coming to the Rangers.
He's not coming to the Rangers. No, they're not going to. Even though Gerard Gallant has not had a good series, Gerard Gallant is not going anywhere. Here's my prediction.
All right, what's your prediction?
It's completely out of the box.
All right.
And nobody's thinking of this.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Toronto and Tampa are playing right now, right? And it's tied at 2. So there's a big if.
Okay.
If Tampa wins the series and Toronto loses in the first round again and can't get out of it, if you are the general manager of the Maple Leafs, Kyle, he's like a little kid. He's like younger than us.
Yeah.
if you're Kyle, I think I always pronounce his last name, Dubious or whatever it is, the general manager up there. Would you rather go into next year with all of the stars, right? Austin Matthews, Nylander, Mitch Marner, John Tavares. Would you rather go into next season with Sheldon Keefe behind your bench again, who has just got bounced in the first round twice, or do you make a move and go get Barry Trotz?
That sounds like a Barry Trotz move.
It sounds like a Barry Trotz. I want to say, now look, Toronto could win the series, and then my whole thing's out. It's totally not true. But that is my random out of the box prediction, because I don't think if I'm Barry Trotz, now maybe it's cool to go home in the back end of the second half of your career and go take the Winnipeg job, but Winnipeg is not talented. You're not going to win there. I mean, let's be real. Although your goalie's good, I guess, in Hellebuck. But man, if I'm Sheldon Keefe right now, the head coach of the Maple Leafs, and I see this yesterday, I think in the back of my head, I'm saying to myself, oh, this is not good. Because if I don't get this team out of the first round, they're calling Barry Trotz. And that's a great fit for him, because Barry Trotz needs to go to a team that needs help with defensive side of the game. And that's exactly what Toronto needs help with. And they're loaded up front. They had 60 goal score on their team.
There you go. You heard it here first. On Mind Your Pucking Business.
If it ended up being right, this is that what I just said will be a clip, and it would be blasted when it's right. And you'd be like, we said this months ago.
Let's blast it right now. We're going to blast it right now.
We can't blast it now. So you can't have the staff here blast it, because we don't know if Toronto is going to get out of the first round yet. It's 2-2. If we're here next week.
That's a double prediction. You're predicting they're going to lose the first round and they're going to replace. That's a super prediction. We're clipping this, baby.
You know what the third prediction is? The Mega Millions numbers.
Yeah.
But no, if next week when we're on, Toronto has been eliminated, which I think is a decent chance. I probably 50-50. Then we are going to pummel this theory.
You heard it here first, Tuesday, May 10th.
You heard it here
Mind
first.
Your Pucking Business.
Yes, you did. So that's where we are. The NHL playoffs, like you look at it and you even see things like Florida tied with Washington. Florida had the most points in the NHL, and they could easily be down 3-1 in the series. The one thing that the Stanley Cup playoffs remind you every single year is how unpredictable it is. I won't say that it's as unpredictable as the NCAA March Madness, like who really had St. Peter's beating Kentucky and then going as far as they did, but it is very, very unpredictable.
True.
And we will see coming up how much more unpredictability there is. Do you think tomorrow night, Game 5 at the Garden?
Yeah.
I looked this morning at the lines. The Rangers are a slight favorite in Game 5, which is probably accurate, because really almost every game has been even. Like last night was -105, -115. The Rangers are -130. So the Rangers are actually a bigger favorite to win last night than any team has really been in any game aside for Game 2. You think the Rangers will win tomorrow night to keep their season going?
Absolutely. They have to.
Okay.
They have to. Backs against the wall. They're going to win out. They're going to make it through this series. I think they're a better team. Overall, I think they're a better team. They're just doing stupid mistakes and they're playing lazy.
I would, so again, and I've said this for a while with this matchup, I do think they're a better team. I mean, I think talent wise it's there. If they win tomorrow night, it would be your Friday night, or any Ranger fans Friday night, because that's when Game 6 is just going to be totally nauseating to sit through, because you're going to have to go back into Pittsburgh. And I don't know the deal, what's going on with Shesterkin out there. It reminded me, if you remember Ranger fans years ago, Henrik Lundqvist, that for some reason had trouble playing in the Bell Center in Montreal. And now looking at Shesterkin the last 2 games out in Pittsburgh, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again with like an all-star goalie, an all-world goalie going into this one arena. I mean, he let up 4 goals in the first period in Game 1. I mean, that's not. And then he let up 6 last night in 2 periods.
Yeah.
So something is in his head out there. So I do think, if you want my prediction for the rest of the series, like you want me to tell you what I think will happen, what I told you before, what could happen. Yeah. If you want what I think will actually happen, I think the Rangers will be eliminated in 6 games. I think they will win tomorrow night, and I think they will lose Friday night in Pittsburgh. And I would say this: I would say if you get to play Friday night and you win, I would be not very confident Friday night. You would have to have a good start, because if they fall behind, although this team has really come back a lot, I guess, but I mean, I would be concerned.
Well, Knock on wood.
In brighter news,
Yeah.
Summer Swag coming
Summer
soon
Swag coming
to
soon.
Bamboozle Project. We
Yep.
encourage you to check them out
Yeah.
at their website, and always use the MYPB promo code for an easy 25% off without having to do anything.
True.
And we thank Allied Roofing as well, and construction. We check them out. So if you're on the YouTube feed, you can see their website at alliedconstructionusa.com. Check them out. Tell them your good friends Dougie Sticks and Jeff sent you.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that they'll give you a discount, but
right. Couldn't
you know
hurt.
what? It doesn't
Couldn't
hurt. They're not. You know what? If you mention us, they're not gonna overcharge you. How about that? Can we settle on
I
that?
hope not. I hope not.
Send your questions anytime to mypbshow@gmail.com, or you can DM us as well. We appreciate you listening. Listen, keep the faith. It's not likely going to work out in our favor, but until it's over, it's not over. And the saying that the Rangers have adopted from a marketing slogan, coincidentally, this playoff run is there's no quit in New York. So if there's no quit in New York, show up tomorrow night and get Patrick Nemeth off the freaking ice.
That was the most pessimistic, optimistic sentence I've ever heard.
I'm glad to have made an impact in your life.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week. We'll talk to you then.